Welcome back to the reality, guys. I'm your host, Billy Blinks, joined as always by my co-host, Brett,
What's up?
joined by friend of the show. He hasn't been around in a while, but we have this is a returning guest of the show, my boy, Mike Wesley. Mike, what's going on, my dude?
What's going on, guys? Very happy to be back.
We are here, as you can see here in the title, talk Claim to Fame, Season 2, Episode 7. This was entitled Absolutely Shredded. Obviously referring to the challenge, but we could also talk about the minds of the alliance there who were so damn sure of themselves. They were jogging around the house, they were hoopla. I was lucky my wife was watching with me, and she doesn't watch every episode, obviously. So she's like, that kind of makes sense. I'm like, this, it's wrong. It's 100% wrong. They're stretching, they're pulling the Lil Nas X stuff, they're pulling the Neil deGrasse Tyson stuff, they're pulling all these clues and stuff that oh, there's a dancing shoe, it's gotta be Elton John. It's like they look for anything. And Carson like sprinting around the house all giddy and stuff, and I'm like, God, I hope they guess Chris. Like, I needed that, and I'm really glad it happened. Chris, we've said for weeks, he's playing the best game by far, and so I'm frankly happy to see him survive. Sad that it's at Hugo's expense. Hugo being Jimmy Carter, grandson, we knew that, but it is a shame to have to see him go. So, Brett, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts on the elimination, the guess, the gameplay, just everything this episode, the main event.
Yeah, I am sad to see Hugo leave. He was an interesting, fun character, but it was hilarious to see how confident they all were. Just at the beginning of the episode, they were thinking it was Billy Idol, like almost
Oh my
99%.
God.
And then they start pulling all the clues, thinking Elton John because of, I think, one clue, which was like colorful coats.
Yeah.
And then I think it's hilarious how every clue that they like found was actually on the wall. So I mean, it sort of made sense a little bit, but they were just completely wrong, and they were just the pride before the fall. They're fueling their egos, thinking they got this one in the bag. And Hugo even had a chance to basically take out Carson, hopefully, and then get the clue so he has more information, but he didn't do it.
Mike, what do you think?
I couldn't stop laughing as they kept dancing around the Elton John situation because there is one very plain clue within that argument that disqualifies it, and they couldn't find it. They couldn't get to the point of Elton John not being an American, and that really it just threw me the entire. I'm like, are they gonna get there? And they never got there.
The Utah comment. And Mike, lean in a little bit closer on the next seg. But the Utah, my wife, that's funny. She was listening, and all of a sudden she's like, Utah. I'm like, see, these people are going so down the wrong road. And there's a few moments like that, including Chris. I want to get to this. Chris and Gabriel now with 3 challenge wins, doing the shredded challenge. He figured if my clue is going to get exposed, I want to know if Chris knows who I am or not. We can get to whether or not that was smart or not, but the fact that Chris couldn't pull Nick Cannon from that clue, that might be the most blatant clue ever given on Claim to Fame. Like, what did you guys think about that?
I might go
I
second. Go ahead, Brett.
was gonna say, I mean, I think it's easy just because we already knew or thought it was Nick Cannon, and that was purely based off the drumline stuff and some other clues. But I don't think that clue was super obvious if you weren't already thinking that. I think some of the other clues are a lot more obvious, like the Old Town Road seems pretty easy, and then there was one other one I forgot.
Dude, I mean, again, for people, I think Chris is relatively within our age range. If you can't see the babies and see the drum line, like that's like, again, remember though, I'm pretty sure he was like, he hadn't seen Curb Your Enthusiasm, right? So like, there's no way he's going to get a JB Smooth. Like there is a fatal flaw in this game. And it's like, if you are completely pop culture negligent, you could be a great game player, but at some point, like you're screwed. Like you need to know this stuff. And that's like, I think going into like next year with season 3, you need to get people who know their stuff and don't play the game early, like Jane, right? Jane would be great right now, but she got so ahead of herself and like made sure everyone knew how smart she was and got herself eliminated, right? Like that's the kind of stuff where they need to balance the gameplay. And I think Chris is, again, has done a great job. I also, frankly, don't think he has a very easy person to guess. So that does help.
Yeah, I would say the thing with Chris is his biggest I would actually say giveaway for me, that gave away who I think he is actually his biggest flaw within the game, because I think the fact, and he did say that, he put Mormon and Utah together, and for me that shows he probably doesn't know a lot of pop culture. You would think maybe at his age, maybe he would, but it is, your surroundings and your I guess how you're brought up can deter you from television, I guess you could say.
He probably thinks that Gabriel's related to a Mormon since he has like 10 babies.
Oh my God. I mean, Gabriel's so funny too in the confessional. He's like, yeah, it's real revealing. I mean, if you know anything about anything, you know what guys out there popping out baby after baby after baby. And I'm just dying. I'm like, he's so like, I think he probably had thought he was going to get out early on. Like, if you had asked Gabriel and talked to him, I bet he would have thought, like, I thought I was going to found out pretty quick. And
That
people
baby
went,
thing, I wasn't super aware of. I only picked up on the drum line and like I thought it was America's Got Talent.
well, even that, oh, it is. But I mean, the fact is, just like you're saying there, like there's a lot of avenues to have identified him, right? But again, like the baby and the drum line is, I think if people were to say now, like, what do you know Nick Cannon the most for? It would be like Wallin' Out. Probably someone would probably still say drumline, and it would be that he has a shit ton of kids. Maybe Mariah Carey, right? Maybe like the Mariah Carey thing, like that. So again, I'm looking forward to when that reveal comes. I think people are gonna think it's really, really funny. Like, and again, Carson's got the clue. Carson has the clue now, and that's going to come into play next week. It definitely is. It's there's no way she doesn't share that if she doesn't figure it out. She's she knows she's on the block, like, right? I mean, am I wrong on thinking that she's going to share this info?
Definitely. So you see in the trailer for next episode, Gabriel's super pissed at Chris. So that's probably what happens. She probably leaks the info. Chris only gave it to her because he thought she was going home. So I love the gameplay strategy of that. Like, oh, I'm going to get info from her. She's going to go home and won't be able to spill the beans. And then Hugo's only going to know if he protects me and does what I tell him to do.
Which is tough because in this game, no matter what, when you get to the guess off part, you get to pick somebody, right? And so, like, you can make all these alliances and promises, but with no one actually really being safe, what does it matter? Right? Make all the promises you want. I think you just get as much info. And I think that's what she's going to do. She's going to blow up Chris because he has been trying to dictate terms, right? He's hoarding all the clues. She probably even might even come to him and ask for something kind of like more or to help or whatever. Or, there's just, I don't see her holding that info very like soon, even into the episode. Right. So I can't wait for that. It's going to be so funny. Again, though, I just don't think people are going to know who he is.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that. They just have no idea. Like, no one knows who.
They've been throwing names, just tossing names all over the place, and it's at this point, it's like I can't remember what episode it was, but it came to me a few episodes ago, but I wasn't 100% sure until this episode, and the whole Utah Mormon thing came up. But I'm surprised they haven't gotten there.
No, I mean, you could talk. I mean, we've been putting guesses out there. We don't look anything up, obviously, but I've been saying it's the Osmonds forever. Yeah. I mean, look, if you know what Donny Osmond looks like and you look at this kid's face, you're like,
yeah, Vegas, the jackets. I mean, I'm 100% sure that it's one of Donny Osmond's sons. But and it could just be an editing trick on trying to keep certain people hidden as long as possible for the viewer, which they've tried to do more this season rather than just giving it away and them telling
it's been
us.
Good.
So
I wish I had the chance to guess this one because I wonder if it would have stumped me. But this was the one I got spoiled on Facebook before the show started. A bunch of old ladies were saying, "Oh, it looks just like Donny Osmond."
And then you're like, who? And then you Google it, you're like, oh, that's.
I knew who Donny Osmond was, but like I wouldn't have just looked at his face and like had that pop in my head.
Some of these things I've been wrong on. That one was one that I picked up. I think when you go back on our videos, I think it was literally like week 1 or 2. I just looked at him like, dude, that's who he looks like. I was the only other person. I think who else we say like week 1 was like he could be like John Mayer or something like that. Like we're like maybe that he'd be his like brother or something, but we kind of turned on that one quick. And also, they obviously with the NASCAR thing being out there, the Jeff Gordon being wrong, it does seem like it's Dale Earnhardt. I think that's like the Dale Earnhardt Jr. specifically. Names thrown out there. It's getting floated out there. So again, really, Monet's been floated out there a lot. I mean, JR is, I think, the biggest mystery to everybody now. Once Chris's stuff, and Chris, I think.
I
They all
mean,
know who JR is. They
not being
figured
able
it
to
out.
get a clue.
No, wait, well,
I mean, Gabriel?
yeah,
I think the
Gabriel.
only one whose person hasn't been named is Gabriel's and Monet's because they just don't know. Or and I guess Chris's, but
We've guessed everybody's at this point.
Yeah, I
We've
went through
guessed
my first
everybody's at
my
this point.
guesses. I'm like, oh, I got that one. I got Chris was really the only one that I had a few names like were Vegas guys like Tom Jones, Wayne Newton, and then I was just like,
Wayne Newton wouldn't have been bad either. He does kind of look like Wayne Newton.
the
Like he's
age
got a
thing is
square
what.
face.
Yeah, the age thing when they said 70s teen idol in the center, I'm like, well, it has to be Donny Osmond then because these guys are 104. So
Yeah, Wayne Newton wasn't a teen idol either. He was like an adult like star. So like a parlor star. Um, okay. Yeah, besides that, I mean, what else you guys got on this episode? Anything else? What do you kind of think going into next week? Anybody have a favorite that they think is gonna take it home?
I mean, for me, I think like Chris is in position for it, but nobody's hanging on. Nobody's catching the Nick Cannon clues. Until Monet sees it, I'm sure Monet will get it. Everyone's stuck on him for sports, and even if they went the baby route in sports, none of them are really diverse in sports knowledge. Where they could have got stuck on, say, Antonio Cromartie, who has 7, 8 children. The
It's
kid
true.
with vasectomy. So
I don't know who's going to win. It's a toss up at this point. I think Carson's definitely not going to win, and JR aren't just because those are the two names that are thrown out. So we're going to have to get rid of people by them guessing wrong or just being, or someone figures their clue out, I guess.
It really is interesting. It's really going to come down to, in a way, who the order of the guessers, right? And who they decide to pick off at this point. I do think that once Gabriel's stuff is out there via Carson, I do think that Nick Cannon is going to get instantly sniffed out by the five. You know what I mean? I think JR, I just think they're all going to get it. We didn't even get to see, for all we know, Carson has already actually figured it out. And because they've done that on this show, they don't show like the revelations they've had until later on when it's relevant. They can pull that up within like the first segment next episode. She could be looking at it again and be like, boom. And she knows who it is. Right. So
my thing with
Yeah,
Carson.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
All right, speaking of the clue, so why did he have it? Why did Chris have the clue? Because Gabriel also won. So couldn't he have been running around with a piece of paper in his pocket? So how did Chris end up getting the piece of paper to keep?
they sat in the vault and Gabriel, like, I don't know. That's fair. I mean, there is only the one piece, but I guess Gabriel just didn't feel like it's a good point. I mean, I guess you could be like, hey, like you can have the clue, whatever. I can't stop you from telling people what it is, but like I'm gonna hold it. But that's not his personality either. Think
Like
if it was
if
somebody else, they may have done that.
Gabriel's like no clue, and then Chris is like clue, and then they're like, all right, we'll give you the clue, but then Gabriel's like, well, I get to keep the clue, you get to just look at it and like compromise or something.
Chris put
So we
it
can't.
pretty quickly, saying you can trust your seat, and he also played it off where he's like, "Oh, I know exactly who this is." So
I think Gabriel too much. And then Gabriel didn't even look at the clues in the paper shredder. He just was trying to like rush through the competition to win.
I mean, that is fair. The competition, what you guys think of it, by the way, before we get out of here? I thought it was kind of interesting.
I thought Hugo was hilarious the way he was, slow moving like Jimmy Carter through trying to sort everything and getting paper cuts.
He got this giant slice. Oh, it was here. It was here. He had like digging in. He like sliced his forearm. Gloves, people. We need gloves. Next season, call OSHA.
It'd be too hard to sort the paper if you had gloves on.
I don't know. The nitrils.
long sleeve shirts.
Yeah, at least a long sleeve shirt to protect the sleeves. Get some like athletic, like Under Armour sleeves or something for them. That works. Like the people, like how the challenge would be. Like they have it like their jerseys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they all need jerseys, names on it.
That's what I'm saying. Put the names word like claim. That would be cool. I kind of want one now. All right, great. Yeah, so obviously we will be back next week for episode 8. Make sure you're liked and subscribed here and on TikTok. We are covering everything and anything reality TV, including The Bachelorette here on ABC Mondays. We're covering every episode of Love Island USA on YouTube. Brian's also doing the 60-second reviews on TikTok. We're doing things like 90 Day Fiance the other way. Brett is doing The Ultimate Fighter. Team McGregor versus Team Chandler. They'll have the coaches challenge this week, apparently. So that should be a fun episode to talk about. We are also covering, starting on Thursday, the Challenge USA Season 2 with the MTV cast. Jersey Shore Family Vacation. Sammy Sweetheart is back this week. She will see the roommates for literally the first time in 11 years. So there's a lot of awesome things that we're covering. We're sprinkling in Big Brother coverage as well between here and on Big Brother. That's going to kind of be Brett's kind of bread and butter. So however we want to get it out there, it'll be out there. But if you're subscribed to both, then you won't miss anything. But until the next time, for myself, Brett, and Mike, thank you. Peace.
Thank you.